The judge closed the file. The courtroom went completely silent. My own brother said about me, "This man is an addict. Giving him the inheritance would ruin the family." I didn't lift my head. I didn't respond. I just waited. Because I had evidence. Evidence that wasn't just an accusation. It would expose the truth naked. When that evidence went before the court, it shook more than just my brother. It shook the entire room. It was a moment, like a dark chapter in the book of life. My father, Robert Johnson, the fearless entrepreneur, founder of a California real estate empire. He returned from his office one ordinary evening, as always, full of excitement, talking about new deals. Moments after dinner, he suddenly complained of severe chest pain. We called an ambulance, but fate had other plans. A heart attack took him from us. Sudden, merciless. No one could be prepared. Robert was 62. His estate was a treasure, a sprawling mansion on the outskirts of San Francisco, luxurious like something out of old Hollywood films. Acres of prime land, dreaming of future developments, and a company generating millions in annual profit. Unfortunately, he left no will. Under California law, everything was to be divided equally between his two sons, me, and my older brother. But fate's division was never that simple. The house fell silent, not just with grief, but with the foreboding of the storm to come. I, Alex Johnson, a 32-year-old ambitious young man, ran the marketing department in my father's company. My older brother, Michael Johnson, 35, was a finance expert and the company's CFO. There was always competition between us, from childhood games to business meetings. But our father's death turned that competition into a dangerous game. Right after his passing, Michael and his wife Amelia started treating me differently. Amelia had entered Michael's life just 6 months ago. She was the daughter of a wealthy business family. Her parents were property tycoons from New York. Michael now avoided my gaze, as if he was hiding a secret. Amelia, who once filled the house with smiles, now hardened her expression when she saw me. At the family dinner table, where my father's stories once echoed, now only silence ruled. I thought it was grief's effect, but inside, unease was growing. Michael started making company decisions alone. He kept me out of meetings, and in Amelia's eyes, a spark of greed shone that unsettled me. The business, the land, the mansion, all were to be divided equally, but that division seemed like a distant dream. I thought time would fix everything, but then came the third week, the day that would change my life. Suddenly, Amelia's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, flew in from New York. They arrived in a luxury car. Their arrival felt like a planned attack. A formal family meeting was called. In our home's expansive living room, the room where my father's photos still smiled on the walls, a cold draft ran through the room. Michael stood before the family elders, our Uncle Henry, a retired judge, and Aunt Sarah, overseeing the family business. With a cold, calculating tone, he said, "Alex is not in a fit state. Giving him the inheritance would not be safe. He has become an addict." Those words exploded in the room like a bomb. All eyes fixed on me, as if I were a criminal. The accusation was based on an old friend, Tom. He had recently been taken into custody in a drug case. Tom was a college friend. We had attended many parties together. But when I learned he had fallen into addiction, I ended the friendship about a year ago. I had never touched drugs. It was a principle of my life. But Michael turned that old friendship into a weapon. I couldn't believe my ears. This was my first legal shock in life. A blow not just over property, but over trust. I had expected disputes over inheritance, but I never thought the accusation would be used to attack my character in front of the whole family. I stood up immediately, my face red with anger. I denied the accusation. "This is an outright lie. I have never used drugs, and the friend you are using as an excuse, I ended that friendship years ago. You know this. This is greed for inheritance, Michael. You are trying to divide the family." A moment of silence fell over the room, but Mr. Thompson smiled and said, "Son, we have strong evidence that shows you have become an addict, and a person addicted to drugs cannot receive a share of their father's inheritance." As he spoke, everyone left as if the file had been closed. A little later, Michael, together with his in-laws and Amelia, cornered me in a part of the house. Their voices were low but threatening. "We have your report ready, Alex, a medical report that will prove you are irresponsible. If you speak a word against the division, this report will go to court. It's better you step back, or your reputation will be destroyed." In Amelia's eyes, a glint of victory shone. Michael's face was hard as stone. I said nothing, but inside, I was breaking. In Michael's eyes, that coldness was not of a brother from childhood. It was the coldness of an enemy. I went straight to my room. I slammed the door shut, as if I wanted to shut out every noise in the world. On the walls of my room were my father's pictures. In one, he was at my college graduation, his hand on my shoulder, smiling proudly, his eyes filled with a love that always gave me strength. In another, we were at the company office, celebrating our first big deal, his face shining with light and joy. I stared at those pictures, and my eyes welled up without control. "Dad, what is happening?" I whispered to myself. My voice trembled, full of pain, like a child complaining to his father. I sat on the bed, buried my head in my hands, and silently cried. Not the kind of crying with tears, but the kind that drenches the soul. It wasn't just the pain of the accusation. It was the memory of my father, breaking me from the inside. His advice now felt like a cruel joke. "Son, family is the greatest wealth. Never lose it." But now, that very family was devouring me, piece by piece. I thought, if Dad were alive, how would his heart break seeing this? He who always wanted to see us brothers together. Waves of anxiety crashed over me, like a stormy sea. Sleep was gone. My heart raced like a frantic drum, and in my mind, those poisonous words echoed. Addict. They were tearing through my very being. I picked up the phone, called some old friends, hoping someone would listen. Someone would comfort me. But it was night. No one answered. The loneliness crushed me even more. For the first time, I felt it. Life was a dark, tangled forest, where even blood ties had turned into predators, and my brother's face had become that of an enemy. A few hours later, around 1 a.m, the house was completely asleep. Even the streets outside were silent. My bedroom door opened slightly. Michael stepped in. In his hands were 2 sealed envelopes. One was white, looking like an official document. The other was brown, perhaps money. He stood in the dim light of the table lamp. The main light was off. His shadow stretched long across the wall. His face was tired but determined, like he had walked into a business meeting where emotions had no place. "Alex, awake?" he asked in a low, commanding tone. Less a question, more a declaration. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, my body filled with a mix of fatigue and anger. "What do you want, Michael, at this hour?" I asked, my voice betraying both exhaustion and fury. He slowly approached the bed, like a salesman presenting a product, and placed the envelopes on the table in front of me. "Here," he said, with a cold, calculating smile. "One envelope contains money, $50,000 in cash. It's for you, as a brotherly duty. I've done my duty. Take this and leave. Find a new city. start a new life. This is a good opportunity for you." I looked at the envelopes, suspicious and wary, as if they were a poisoned gift. "What kind of joke is this, Michael, at this hour?" I asked, my voice trembling with anger. Michael responded in a cold, detached tone, like he was explaining a business deal. "Open the other envelope. It's a medical report detailing your condition. See it, then make your decision." Hesitant, I opened the white envelope. Inside was a formal printed report from Healthview Medical Center, signed by Dr. John Smith, stamped with the clinic seal. It looked like a real official document. The report clearly stated that I, Alex Johnson, had allegedly confessed, "Yes, I have become an addict. This addiction has been ongoing for years, and my father, Robert Johnson, knew about it. He tried to save me. He secretly sent me for treatment, but I failed. I am not capable of handling any financial responsibility now." The report included further details, specific dates I supposedly visited the clinic, the types of drugs like cocaine and alcohol, and claims that my father had secretly sent me to a rehab center. Reading this, my heart sank. It felt like a sharp dagger had pierced through me. It wasn't just a lie. It tarnished my father's memory and his reputation. He, who had always been an example of honesty. Michael saw the shock and anger on my face. With a satisfied smile, he said, "Now you understand. This report will be presented in court if you attempt any legal action. You won't just lose the property. You could go to jail. This isn't about forgery. It's a case of family betrayal and breach of trust due to addiction. Take the money and leave quietly. It's better for you and for all of us." His voice was businesslike, like he was closing a deal, completely devoid of emotion. I threw the envelopes on the table in anger. My voice rose. "This is an outright lie, Michael. I never confessed to this. Do not drag Dad into this filthy game. Do not tarnish his memory." He just gave a faint smile, turned around and left, closing the door quietly as if nothing had happened. All night I stared at that report, reading every line again and again, and made a firm decision in my heart. I would fight this battle, not just for the inheritance, but for truth and justice. I looked at the envelopes. One contained $50,000, stacks of bills, Michael's gesture of mercy. The other held the fate report, a weapon meant to destroy my life. I decided I would not return the money. These dollars would not mark my defeat. They would fuel my fight. The next morning, early, while the house was still asleep, I packed a small bag, some clothes, essential documents, and the $50,000. I left the house keys on the table and a note that read simply, "I'm leaving, but I will return." I closed the door, turned back to look at the house. The home of my childhood memories now felt like a battlefield. I called an Uber, checked into a cheap hotel in the city where no one would recognize me. From here, my legal battle would begin, not just for the inheritance, but for my name and my father's legacy. I knew Michael would think I had given up, but it was only a ruse, a strategic retreat to buy time for my counterattack. The next morning, from the hotel room, I contacted a trusted man in the company. His name was Carlos Ramirez, an old employee in the security department, but secretly, he was my eyes and ears. I had hired Carlos back in my father's day. He came from a small security firm. He sat near Michael's office, but his loyalty was with me. An old favor. I had helped his daughter get medical treatment. I called him on a disposable phone. "Carlos, we need to meet, secretly, in the park tonight." He agreed immediately, a wave of concern in his voice. That evening, in a deserted park in Los Angeles, we met on a bench. Raindrops fell, making the scene even more dramatic. I told him the whole story. Michael's accusation, the night confrontation, the fake report, all of it driven by greed for the inheritance. "How long has this been going on, Carlos? Do you know anything?" I asked, a glimmer of hope in my eyes. Carlos took a long breath, looked around to make sure no one was listening, then spoke quietly. "This game is far beyond what I knew, Alex. I never imagined it would go this deep. However, right after Dad's death, Michael and Mr. Thompson had several meetings. They would come to the office, close the doors, and talk for hours. I thought maybe it was a family issue, discussions after the wedding, or grief talking. I ignored it, thinking it was personal. But hearing your story now, it looks like something else." There was a seriousness in his eyes that assured me he was telling the truth. I said, "Carlos, I need your help. Get to the root of this matter. Every move of Michael's, his wife Amelia's calls, Mr. Thompson's plans, dig it all up. This is a war, and you are my ally." He nodded. We parted ways, soaking wet in the rain. The moment felt like a scene straight out of a movie.
A week passed, a week that felt like a century to me. Sitting in the hotel room, I read legal books, consulted with lawyers, and waited. Then one night, Carlos called. "Meet me, now." In the park, he handed me a thick file, a complete report, secretly prepared. I opened it. Inside was the full picture of a conspiracy, like the plot of a thriller novel. The report revealed that Amelia and her father, Mr. Thompson, were using Michael, a plan that had started even before Dad's death. Mr. Thompson, a notorious property developer from New York, had trapped Michael through marriage. Their goal was clear: seize our family land and house, prime California real estate. The report included emails, meeting notes, and transcripts of secret recordings. They proved that Mr. Thompson had already drafted plans for a 40-story tower on the land, a luxury condominium complex that would generate billions. The house was to be demolished. A new shopping center would rise, all part of the Thompson family empire. And the shocking part? Michael was only a 25% partner. The Thompson family held the remaining 75%. Michael was just a puppet, deceiving his own brother while being deceived himself. Reading the report, I broke into a cold sweat. Beads of sweat formed on my forehead. My heart raced. My hands shook. It wasn't just the family betrayal. It was a business conspiracy, one that could bury Dad's hard work in the dirt. I looked at Carlos. This is a full-blown plan. Thank you, my friend. This will be the foundation for our legal battle. This moment changed my life. I finally knew who the enemy was and how the war would be fought. But this was only the beginning, a story moving toward justice where every step would reveal a thrilling new discovery.
Carlos's report shook me to the core, but it was just a spark, a flame telling me one thing. Now I must step into the battlefield myself, a soldier fighting his own war. Sitting in that cramped, dimly lit hotel room, I counted the $50,000, the money Michael had sent, a hidden bribe. It had been an attempt to buy me, but now this money had become my sword, a weapon to shake the foundations of the enemy's empire. I made a vow in my heart. Every secret plot of Mr. Thompson would be exposed, every hidden plan brought to light. But I couldn't do this alone. I needed an ally, someone who could move in the shadows, dig up secrets silently, and face the dangers head on. Then my eyes landed on an old friend, Benny Franco, a former private investigator, a loyal companion from college days. Benny was a big, healthy man. His greatest weakness? Food. A fine Italian pasta or a juicy steak could make him forget the world. We often joked, If someone wanted to blackmail him, a gourmet restaurant voucher would do the trick. But Benny was reliable, like a loyal friend. His nose could sniff out any conspiracy from miles away. I called him. "Benny, we need to meet. The old place. But this time, dinner is on me." We met at a quiet Italian restaurant in Los Angeles. Dim lights, inviting aromas, perfect for a meeting and a meal. Benny arrived. His eyes lit up with excitement, especially when he saw the menu. "Alex, this risotto? Wow, incredible," he exclaimed, diving into the plate. I flattered him a little over the meal. Then I laid it all out. Michael's betrayal, the Thompsons' schemes, the plans designed to swallow our family legacy. "Benny," I said, "I need every dirty move Thompson has made, every deal, every secret, everything. $5,000 for your fee and all meals included." Benny smiled. "Deal, but one condition. Next meeting, French dinner. Top notch." There was humor in his voice, but serious too. I knew he would get the job done. I gave him the task: dig into every aspect of Thompson's life. Files, calls, meetings, every hidden secret. Benny left, and I knew the lure of good food could move mountains for him. Now it was time for the legal battlefield. I needed the city's best lawyer. Research led me to a name echoing loud in Los Angeles: Olivia Hart. 30 years old, beautiful, intelligent, a master of family law and corporate conspiracies. Her beauty was a weapon. Long black hair, sharp eyes that melted opponents in court. But her true power lay in her mind, in her strategy. Meeting her wouldn't be easy. She only took high-profile cases. Her office was a fortress. For 3 days, I called, emailed, waited outside. Every time, refused. Then, I tried a move. I referenced an old case of hers, a case where she helped a poor family get justice. I sent a note. "My story is like your previous clients. Please spare some time for a meeting, or this chance will be lost." The next morning, her call came. We met in a coffee shop. She was in a black suit, beautiful and confident. "Tell me your story, Alex, but we don't have much time." I told every detail. Her eyes lit up. "I'll take the case," she said. "It's not just about inheritance. This is a criminal matter, too." Weeks passed, filled with tension and anxiety. Benny worked day and night, digging every corner, spending his $5,000 on gourmet meals along the way. Then, one night, he arrived with a thick file. "Here, Alex, the complete Thompson dossier." The report proved every word Carlos had said. 40-story tower, shopping center, Michael's mere 25% share, all documented, every secret exposed. I was ready now. Ready to turn the game around. As I flipped the last pages of Benny Franco's file, another explosive revelation hit, a piece of evidence that gave new life to all my hopes and completely exposed the enemy's plot. The report contained official copies from the San Francisco County Recorder's Office. Just 3 days after Dad's death, Michael Johnson and Mr. Thompson had recorded a quitclaim deed, transferring the family land, around 15 acres of prime property, into their names. The document claimed it was an inter vivos gift, a gift given while Dad was alive. But Dad had already passed. No such gift was possible. This was outright forgery and fraud. Inheritance is legally divided through probate court. No one can claim land without a court order. This evidence was even more serious than the forged medical report. It was probate fraud, a clear violation of the penal code. I called Olivia Hart immediately. "Olivia, there's another bomb in Benny's report. They transferred the land right after Dad's death. It's recorded at the recorder's office." Her voice was a mix of excitement and determination. "This will change the case, Alex.
Under Probate Code Section 850, the assets can be reclaimed. We'll file a motion immediately for forgery, fraud, and undue influence. The forged medical report is now secondary. The core crime is this deed. Meanwhile, Michael realized I wasn't sitting quietly. He called his lawyer, Sarah Lewis, a seasoned attorney known for tough objections and delaying tactics in high-stakes cases. Michael handed her the entire file, forged medical report, quitclaim deed copy, and all of Thompson's schemes. In a cold, measured voice, Sarah said, "Michael, this case is complex. There will be a contest in probate court. If the documents are proven fake, a criminal case may follow, but our defense is strong. We'll claim the quitclaim deed was prepared while your father was alive and that the medical report is genuine. We'll file a summary judgment motion and challenge the evidence." Weeks later, the case was filed in San Francisco Superior Court Probate Department, in re estate of Robert Johnson. Alex Johnson filed against Michael Johnson and the Thompson family. Claims, forgery, fraud, undue influence, fraudulent conveyance, and recovery of assets under Probate Code Section 850. The first hearing date was set. Courtroom 304, 9 a.m. sharp.
The courtroom was cold and formal. Judge Honorable Allen Brown, an experienced probate judge, called the case. Olivia Hart stood and began presenting arguments. Your Honor, the petitioner, Alex Johnson, challenges the authenticity of documents presented by the respondents. These include a medical report claiming incapacity due to substance abuse and a quitclaim deed recorded after the father's death. We have clear evidence of forgery and proof of fraudulent transfer of assets. We request a hearing on the evidence and a temporary injunction to prevent further transfers. Sarah Lewis immediately objected. Objection, Your Honor. The petitioner's claims are speculative and weak. The medical report is from licensed Dr. John Smith, and the signatures are genuine. The quitclaim deed was prepared while the father was alive. The petitioner has no right to object without clear evidence. We move to dismiss the petition, or for summary adjudication on the incapacity claim. The judge listened carefully. Ms. Hart, do you have preliminary evidence of forgery? Olivia presented the file. Yes, Your Honor. We have a forensic document expert's report showing discrepancies in signatures and formatting. Additionally, the county recorder's records prove the quitclaim deed was recorded 3 days after the father's death. This violates Probate Code Section 6400, as inheritance must be equally divided among siblings. Sarah responded, These reports are preliminary and not sworn statements. We request cross-examination and discovery. The deed was prepared before the death certificate. The recording delay could be a clerical error. The judge paused and spoke. This matter requires evidence and investigation. No decision will be made today. The petitioner's temporary injunction request is denied, but may be refiled without prejudice. Respondents must file their response within 30 days. Discovery begins immediately. Next hearing, 6 weeks from today, April 15th, 9 a.m. Initial document exchange by March 1. The courtroom emptied. I looked at Olivia. Her eyes were full of resolve and determination. This is just the beginning, Alex. They are delaying and pressuring us, but our evidence is strong. By the next date, we will have forensic reports and witness statements ready. I walked out, my heart filled with new hope and fierce anger. This fight had moved to the courtroom. The next round would be even tougher. The preparation for the next hearing was not for a court case, it was preparation for war. Olivia Hart had nearly abandoned sleep over the past 10 days. The office lights often stayed on past midnight, files stacked high on the desk, a 40-page forensic document expert report, 12 complete and verified transcripts of secret recordings prepared by Benny Franco, Carlos Ramirez's sworn statement,
certified copies from the San Francisco County Recorder's Office proving the quitclaim deed was forged. But Olivia didn't stop there. She dug into Mr. Thompson's past. 2018, New York Supreme Court, real estate fraud case, $150,000 fine. 2021, undue influence case against a business partner, settled out of court but records still existed. These were not just old stories, they were a pattern of systematic fraud. April 15, morning. Courtroom 304 was unusually full. Reporters with cameras, a few relatives in the back rows. Michael's eyes were down, face pale, hands trembling. Mr. Thompson sat upright, fingers nervously tapping the desk. Judge Han Allen Brown struck the gavel. Case PR 2025-0478, in re Estate of Robert Johnson. Today, evidentiary hearing. Miss Hart, you may begin. Olivia stood slowly, her voice calm yet firm. Your Honor, today we will prove this is not merely a dispute over inheritance, but a case of systematic forgery and financial fraud. First, the alleged medical report. The forensic expert's report shows the signatures are forged, the formatting inconsistent, and Dr. John Smith's clinic was actually an empty office rented temporarily by the Thompson family. She opened another file. Second, the quitclaim deed, recorded 3 days after death, violates Probate Code Sections 6400 and 850. The courtroom fell silent. Third, we have 12 secret recordings. In them, Mr. Thompson can be heard giving Michael Johnson clear instructions to remove Alex from the path so the rest of the empire can be taken over. Olivia delivered the next blow. 2018, real estate fraud in New York. 2021, undue influence over a business partner. These are not just past events, but a pattern. One method, one intent.
Sarah Lewis stood immediately. Objection, Your Honor. This is irrelevant and prejudicial. It constitutes character assassination. Under California Evidence Code 1101, such past acts are inadmissible unless a direct connection is established. Olivia responded without pause. This is not character assassination, but evidence to prove motive and intent. Under Evidence Code 1101B, motive and intent are legitimate purposes. The judge paused for a few moments. Objection overruled. The court admits these records for the limited purpose of reviewing patterns of conduct. The courtroom atmosphere changed. Olivia played the recordings. Mr. Thompson's voice echoed. Michael, frame Alex as an addict. The land will be ours. The tower will be built. You get 25%. We take the rest. Michael's body trembled. Tears welled in his eyes. I thought it was all legal. Olivia's voice softened, but her words were firm. You are both a victim and an accomplice. The law makes no distinction. After hours of proceedings, the judge announced the verdict. The court rules. The medical report and quitclaim deed are both forged and invalid. All assets, land, residential home, and company shall be equally divided between the two brothers. Michael Johnson is fined $400,000, Mr. Thompson $750,000 civil penalty. Further, this matter is referred to the district attorney for criminal proceedings. The gavel fell. The decision was final. Outside the courtroom, Michael approached me. Alex, I made a mistake. Please forgive me. I looked at him. Forgiveness isn't cheap, Michael. Pay the price first, then maybe we talk. Months later, the criminal case concluded. Michael received 18 months, conditional release and community service, plus an additional $250,000 fine. Mr. Thompson received 3 years in prison and $1.2 million in fines. He was the mastermind behind the scheme. The Thompson family business went bankrupt. Amelia divorced and returned to New York. I took over the company. No tower was built on the land. Dad's house remained, strong, silent, dignified. Carlos was appointed chief of security. Benny received a generous bonus. Olivia Hart was no longer just a lawyer. She became a close friend. One rainy evening, I sat in front of Dad's picture. "Dad, you were right. Family is the greatest wealth. But when greed enters the blood, justice becomes the true bond. I didn't just save property, I preserved your honor." The rain pounded against the walls, but this time, no deceit echoed inside. This victory was not just about money. It was the triumph of truth.